Hi everyone, Jasmine here. Oh my gosh, it is so good to be back here talking to my camera like old times. It has been a hot minute since I last was on the internet. I really miss you all. And I really miss connecting with people. So I just wanted to take to jump on and take a little time to talk about where I've been, what I've been doing, what's next. I am returning to the internet, and I am going to reconnect with everyone. The past 2 years have been really difficult. I mean, there's been good things and bad things. I mean, the good things, I've had a really great time being married for the past 2 years. My wife and I just celebrated our 2 year anniversary 2 months ago, and today is my 28th birthday, and that's pretty exciting. I survived the 28, which is like a huge deal. We are throwing a huge party when I turn 30, because at as much as I've been through with health, being here is the best thing ever. But the past 2 years, I've really had to step away from connecting with people and from socializing to work on my own health, both mental and physical. It's been a time. So I wanted to tell you guys all a little bit more about all of that. So towards the beginning of the pandemic, I had decided to launch my research project. And what I was going to do, first of all, that is still happening. I still will be doing my research. Hopefully, in about a year or so, I'll be able to really jump into that. I'll explain why. I had initially decided to fund my research as a nonprofit. And to do it that way. That way, I could put my full time into studying the phenome of Parkinson's, which is absolutely still going to be my life's work. But during the pandemic, I ended up inventing something, and I am actually going through the channels to get my invention to become an official medical product and to be picked up by a company. We are getting the patent on it, hopefully by the end of the month. Actually, any day now they should send back a revised thing. We're very, very close to filing a patent. So what I have been doing, so let's sort of show this. So this little bottle right here is my stoma powder. And so during the beginning of the pandemic, I had put off getting my feeding tube changed because it's just a traumatic thing to have to get changed. It's interventional radiology. They're the ones who give me PTSD. It's a whole long story, but my feeding tube broke and bile leaked all over my body, and I got a huge chemical burn. I always have a burn around my feeding tube, and it has been a constant pain, just a constant source of misery. And there's no really good solution out there on the market. And so I chemistryed, and I came up with this powder. What it does is it actually soaks up leakage around stomas, which it, sort of the chemistry behind it, the ingredients, and I can't say what it is because it's, like I said, we're filing a patent. I'll be able to tell you all what it is really soon once we're actually able to get it on the market. I'm very excited to get this out there because it's changed my life, and I want to give this to everybody who has a feeding tube and deals with burns on their bodies from the leakage from their feeding tubes. What it does is it pulls away any kind of leakage, like the bile leaks out of my tube, out of the stoma, and it just sits on the skin. That causes burns. It's very caustic. And what the powder does is it pulls it away from the skin, and it's super super absorbent. It will actually draw the water up and out and keep it away from the skin and absorb it. That way it can't damage your skin. So my skin has healed because of it. And so, my dad has been helping me with the business stuff, and we're going to get this on the market. So hopefully, by the end of the year, so we'll be able to actually sell it to a company. I'm very excited to get this in the hands of people like me, because it's a huge life changer to not have a chemical burn. So the reason I had put pause on my doing it via nonprofit, my research, is because this is what I hope to fund my life with. It should be, enough for me to live comfortably, for me to support my family. And then I can just do my research because I want to do my research. And during the pandemic, I just have not had the mental, emotional energy to be able to really pour myself into that. And I really miss it. What I have been doing is I have been teaching chemistry, which has been really fun and exciting. That's kind of like what my job has been during this pandemic. I have been online teaching. I really love teaching chemistry. It's one of the things I want to actually kind of keep doing for the rest of my life because I really enjoy introducing students to our beautiful subject. It's amazing. It feels really great, and I'm actually pretty good at teaching it. So I just I call it, I'm like an accidental STEM teacher. And now I've taught everything. I've taught math, physics, biology, and chemistry, and I really just like teaching chemistry. And so I'm going to keep doing that and keep finding ways to do that. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I've just been kind of living under a rock. I have been having a really hard time connecting with people. And I've been working on my own PTSD and mental health as well, which has been challenging during this time. But I feel like I'm finally starting to get back on my feet. I feel like I'm starting to get back out there in the world, and I'm starting to enjoy life again. And at the beginning of the pandemic, I had a whole deal with trying to get on an antidepressant that wasn't going to kill me. Unfortunately, because of one of my Parkinson's medications, I got serotonin syndrome when I tried antidepressants. And so I'll actually have to talk about this in another video at some point, because what I ended up doing is I ended up doing a bunch of research and finding one that does both treat my depression and also work as, it's an MAO. I take sledgeline, it's an MAOI inhibitor, and so I was able to replace my other MAOI inhibitor. That way I can treat my Parkinson's symptoms with it, but also treat my depression. So I've been on that for for a year and a half, 2 years now, which has made a huge difference. It has really helped me. Oh, there's my cat. She's saying hi. But it has really helped me, but it's just addressing the whole thing. I've been working hard to, get my own mental health under control, because it's just been sad and disconnected. But like I said, I'm getting back out there. And so to everyone who's sent me a message that I haven't replied to over the past year or two, I am so sorry. I will reconnect with everybody. I'm slowly jumping in. Give me a little grace and time right now. I am getting back to doing life and to reconnecting because I miss you all. And we have this lovely community, and I'm so blessed to have this community and to be connected to all the people I am. And just please know that I've never forgotten about you all, and that I miss you all, and I want to get back to doing what I do, and connecting with people and sharing the things I know and the things I learn, and also to studying this crazy disease we got. So like I said, there is research I will be doing. The Parkinson's phenome is not dead, it's just postponed, so hopefully in about a year or so. And hopefully, I'm not super certain, but I'm hoping that I can finish. I have a paper that I was working on earlier about, it's a literature review of everything they've studied with periods and Parkinson's, because women's hormones and menstruation has a huge effect on Parkinson's, and it's very, 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 very understudied. So this paper I'm working on, it's like looking into what's actually out there in the research, like what led the research to. It's essentially a literature review of everything talked about, which is not that many articles, but it's a really interesting topic, and one that I really want to bring forth to the attention of research. And so, yes, that is something I will be exploring. So I'm hoping to be able to submit that in December, which is when the abstracts for World Parkinson's in Barcelona next year are due. But anyways, that was kind of a tangent. Like I said, I just wanted to jump on and sort of explain where I've been and what the next steps are for me. So my next step with my little invention here, so we should be able to file the patent probably by the end of this month. Like I said, they actually sent us the patent attorneys. Actually, we're working with a really cool law firm called the Patent Professor. They do a ton of stuff like this, so it was really exciting, and it was really good to hear for me that they were excited about my work, and that they think that there's really nothing on the market that does what this does, and so I'm excited to be able to get that out into a company and get that into the hands of consumers, of people who, like me, are living with stomas that burn your skin, because no one should live like that. So in other health news, health has been not good. There's been goods and bads. So one of my issues, chronic intestinal pseudo obstruction. What that is so I have dysmotility throughout my GI tract. Everything all the way through my GI tract is slow. peristalsis, which is like what squeezes food through your digestive system, just doesn't work very well in mine. And so because of that, my body every so often... Whoops, my camera died. Okay, jumping back into it. Died on me. Okay, so I was talking about having chronic intestinal pseudo obstruction. So this is a lovely problem caused by your vagus nerve being crap in Parkinson's. The current theory is that the misfolded proteins that cause the neurodegeneration in Parkinson's travel from your gut to your brain on a super axis highway called the vagus nerve. It's the nerve that's responsible for things like your heart rate and your blood pressure and your digestion. It's what essentially makes your intestines know to move. So I have dysmotility throughout my GI tract, which sucks, but it causes these pseudo obstructions. So it's like, you've ever heard of like a mechanical bowel obstruction, which is where a piece of the intestine either folds in on itself or twists itself, and then your intestines can't move, so it dilates and it's super painful. My body, every so often, my small intestine will just dilate itself because it's slow and it thinks it's blocked even though it's not, which is annoying and horribly, horribly painful. I cannot get through it on my own, and I have a huge pain tolerance, and I'm already on pain meds, but I cannot get through it with the meds I'm on. Like, in the past, every time I've had to go to the hospital, and the treatment for it is they drain your stomach, and then to keep the pressure off of it, and they basically just have to wait it out, wait for your body for the dilation to calm down. During this time period, we usually monitor it with CT scans and x-rays, which will show essentially the progression of it getting less dilated. But every time I've had one of these episodes in the past, I've had to go to the hospital and stay there for at least a couple days to get heavy pain meds. When the pandemic happened, I talked to my pain management specialist, and I was just like, I cannot go to a hospital right now, but I need to. The good thing about it is I started to learn the symptoms of when one's coming. So I realized during the pandemic that I only throw up green bile, which is like the grossest thing in the entire world. That only happens right before I'm going to have an obstruction. So I've learned, and I've also just kind of learned like how my body reacts leading up to it. And so I've been really observant with that. So now that I know a couple days ahead of time that I'm going to get an obstruction, my pain management doctor was actually able to organize for me to have pain meds at home. And I have IV nutrition, everything else at home. I've got my port, I got my G-tube. So I was able to actually do it at home. And so now I actually haven't had to go inpatient for this for 2 years since the pandemic started, which has actually been amazing. So that's actually been a quality of life improvement. I think I've had 4 or 5, maybe 6 obstructions in the past 2 years. It's kind of like 3 or 4 of them a year. However, about 2 weeks ago, I just started a brand new treatment for CIPO, chronic intestinal pseudo obstruction. And my doctor, I have a pain management specialist down in Irvine, which is about an hour from where I live. But she's worth the drive. She's excellent. She's got an MD PhD, and she is really like into the research of it all too. And she specializes specifically in motility disorders. And it's been amazing because she has another patient who has chronic intestinal pseudo obstruction, and this medication like cured him. Like, no, not cured, but he was having obstructions every 3 months, and now he doesn't have them anymore. You know, you have to be hospitalized just like me. Have to go on heavy pain medications. It's painful, it's awful, it just, everything about it just sucks. But he hasn't had one since he started this treatment. So I started that 2 weeks ago, and it's definitely doing something. It's been rough because I think what we think it is it's like it's made my intestines have moved more in the past 2 weeks than they have in the past decade. It's crazy. Like, it's definitely working. It's just not super coordinated, so I just keep getting horribly sick from it, which has been awful. But so the good thing about it is that I can tell it's starting to work. It's just taking a while. So it's been a really, really, really rough 2 weeks. But I feel like the treatment is finally starting to work. I feel like it's going to work. I mean, only time will tell if it actually stops my pseudo obstruction. But guys, I was hungry. I was hungry. At least I'm not sure if it was true hunger, but I felt like eating food. I haven't been hungry in a decade. Yeah, I got my feeding tube in 2015, and I was sick for about 3 years before that with the stomach stuff before we were able to diagnose me. So, yeah, it was weird. Honestly, I kind of freaked out at that day when I first felt hunger last week. I was just like, I had to process it. And I'm finally, during the beginning of the pandemic, I also went off of TPN. So I use TPN, total parenteral nutrition, artificial nutrition, to survive. And I went off of it and was just going on what I could, like the little I could tube feed and the little I could eat, and I lost 30 pounds, which sucked. I was like about 100 pounds when I had to go back on TPN. But the reason I stopped TPN was because I did not want anything that could make me end up in the hospital, because it was pretty clear in the beginning of the pandemic that if I got COVID, like, that's it. So we worked very hard for me not to get COVID. I am quadruple vax and pneumonia vax now, so I'm confident now that if I did get COVID, I would be okay. I'm still trying very hard not to, and I'm still masking up everywhere I go. And I've not been going out that much. Like, we are going out for my birthday tonight. We're gonna go get hot pot, which is really exciting. I haven't been to like a restaurant in a long time. But we don't do this very often. We only do it for special occasions now. Otherwise we just, get food and eat somewhere else. But I'm also very excited that I can eat more now because of this medication. I'm actually really hoping it gives me the ability to eat again. Oh, it's called Motegrity, by the way. Prucalopride, if anyone wants to know what the medication is, if you're having this issue too. It's actually, funny enough, it's, for whatever reason, there's a huge amount of politics behind prokinetic medications, like for dysmotility. It's really weird. There's a medication called domperidone, which I tried. You have to get that from Canada. It's really sketchy. Like, I have to order from this pharmacy that doesn't really feel legitimate. A lot of people use it to induce. If you take it with another medication, you can induce like lactation for people who are having trouble breastfeeding. That's why it's commonly available. But it's actually a prokinetic drug. A lot of these drugs are actually drugs for things else other things that they realized move your intestines as well. But I tried domperidone. I got it from Canada because it's not FDA approved, even though it should be. That's a whole other political weirdness. The one that is approved, Reglan, is just really not safe for somebody with Parkinson's at all. And so I had no options. I didn't really have a medication that could do anything. But this medication is actually only officially approved for constipation, but it was extensively studied for chronic intestinal pseudo obstruction. On the Wikipedia page, it even says it has been studied for chronic intestinal pseudo obstruction, even though it's not approved. So it's really weird because it's kind of one of those medications that everyone who uses, there are some people who just use it for constipation, but everybody who uses it is pretty much using it off-label for chronic intestinal pseudo obstruction. And it doesn't work for everybody, and I think it's kind of it depends on what type you have. We think that my type will be more reactive to it because my issue is not my intestines themselves, but the innervation of my intestines. So, like I said, it's definitely moving. It's been really weird. But and it's been making me really sick. But at the same time, I feel like it's going to regulate itself eventually. It's just kind of taking my body a little bit of time to get used to it. It was a very weird reaction, but I feel like I'm getting better slowly. My summer record, we started keeping track of how long I go without throwing up, and my summer record is 8 days. 8 days. And for a long time the record was 5 days. Then I finally hit 6 one time. Then I finally hit 7. The 8th day was a huge whoa, thought I was gonna make it to 9, but then I threw up. So I've been so sick. I've been throwing up a couple times a week. It's just been rough. So the idea that something can, one, stop the horrible flares that land me in the hospital and on heavy pain meds, because nobody likes being on that much pain meds. You kind of just lay in bed. It sucks. But the idea that it could, one, stop the super dangerous ones, and two, also just allow me to be able to eat more, to go longer without throwing up, and to just not have to have that be such a huge part of my life would be really life-changing. And, you know, who knows if that's taken away, who knows what I'll be able to do. As far as like my movement with Parkinson's goes, it's been rough. I mean, I'm definitely slower and stiffer. I haven't really been able to exercise much during the pandemic, which has been rough, but so I'm a little bit stiff, a little bit slow, but I'm still comfortable. My GPS is still working very well. My medications are still working well. I'm still hanging in there. You know, at this point I only use a wheelchair for when I need to go like long distances, which has made a huge difference in just quality of life. You know, if I want to go to the mall or something, I can just be pushed around and not have to use my body, and that's a huge difference. But you know, I've definitely felt the progression. You know, I am 14 years in now. Actually, in a couple months, it'll have officially been half my life that I've had Parkinson's. Like, I'm turning 28 today. And I got sick when I was like 14 and a half. So, you know, we're very close to the point where it'll be literally half my life, which I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. But, you know, I'm still here, I'm still kicking, and I am still fighting to keep living. Like, that is my ultimate goal. I want to be here as long as possible. And I will not stop trying to figure out better ways to address my illnesses and to keep being able to do what I love, which is ultimately science and, you know, being with the people I love. And, you know, like I said, I'll miss all my friends. I have been really just kind of like not very communicative. And I just thank you so much to everyone who has sort of stuck around and has given me grace through this entire thing, and who hasn't, you know, who hasn't been like pushy, but also just is understanding. It's been hard. It's been the hardest 2 years of my life, honestly. The pandemic has just been exceptionally terrible, and there's no other way to put that. But I'm slowly coming back, and I'm slowly going to be back and get back to doing the things I love, and, you know, getting to do the next research thing, the next science thing. You know, I have been talking with some of my colleagues who are interested in starting up a program to help people do things like this, to help people who might not necessarily have the background to invent things, but because lived experience, like, the reason that there's no solution out there for this is because no one with lived experience made it. Like, I made this simply because I was tired of living with the constant burn on my body. You know, patients know the things that they're going through every day. They know the issues, and those aren't necessarily the issues we face on a daily basis aren't necessarily translated to scientists, and so there's a lot of issues that isn't really on the radar of people who are researching things. And so, you know, there's some people really interested in helping people who might not have an entry into science but have lived experience get into that. And so, you know, I can see myself in the future doing more of that, to doing some work with other people who want to invent things, and helping them with the science background. I see myself continuing to teach chemistry and maybe taking that to the next level. I see myself, you know, doing my own research project that I am very excited to do in the future. And just, you know, continuing to see where it takes me. Maybe in the future I'll go back to school. I really would love to. I miss academia, and, you know, I would love to in the future go back to school. I had to accept a couple years ago that, like, my body wasn't healthy enough to go into medicine like I had wanted to, which is sad, but, like, at the same time, I also am focusing on the fact that there are other avenues for me to make a difference in the world and to keep doing what I love and to contribute to science and humanity and society. So, you know, I would maybe in the future like to go back to school, maybe to get a doctorate at some point. I don't know yet. We'll see what my body is capable of. We'll see where it takes me. At this point, right now, in the near future, I'm going to get my powder on the market, and I'm going to reconnect with the community and start to work on my research again. And just to see where that takes me. And yeah, so that's where I've been, and that's where I'm going. Like I said, I'm going to try to get back to it. There's so many people who've messaged me, and, like I said, I haven't really responded to anybody, but so thank you for hanging in there and for waiting. I'll be getting back to people in coming days, hopefully within the next month or so. I want to get back to responding to everybody and to reconnecting with all the people that I miss dearly. So yeah, that's my update. Okay, it is now 5:50. I'm going to go finish getting ready and gonna go out to dinner with my wife and celebrate the fact that I am still kicking. So this is 28. We'll see what comes. Bye, guys.